Hello students, good morning all of you. Today I Rabindra Mohan Misra from Sri Jagdamba Sanskrit College Batho am taking the class of Shastri first. In this day we are learning from the play Silver Box. We have seen the summary of Act 3 and Act 2 of the play The Silver Box. Today we see the summary of Act First of the play The Silver Box. The play Silver Box is a third act comedy. It is the first play by the English writer John Galsworthy. It was produced in London in 1906. It attracted much attention on that time. In this play, the disappearance of cigarette box leads to a comparison of the behavior of the son of a prosperous politician with that of an unemployed man. The exposure of attitudes of different social classes. Goldsworthy said that his aim was to create such an illusion of actual life passing on the stage as to compel the spectator to pass through an experience of his own, to think and talk and move with the people he sees thinking and talking and moving in front of him. The silver box did not draw large audiences. In the act first of scene first, it is act first is of three scenes. The three scenes of the first act takes place in the London dining room of John Warthwick, a Liberal member of Parliament. Jack Warthwick, son of the family, comes home at night drunk. Jones, whose wife is the charwoman for the Warthwicks, has helped him to unlock the door, is given a drink by Jack. Jack falls asleep on the sofa. Act first, scene second is displayed in the next morning. In this scene, Jack is still on the sofa while Mrs. Jones is cleaning the room. She talks to Wheeler, the housemaid, to Marlowe, the butler, about her husband. He is out of work. John is violent when he is drunken. In Act Third, Act First, Scene Third of the play, John Warthwick and his wife having breakfast talk about politics. Mrs. Warthwick is alarmed on reading in the newspaper that a Labour candidate has won a by-election, but he says that all parties should be represented. An unknown lady calls. She is the young lady. Jack finds that there is no purse in the reticule, denies having it. Warthwick reluctantly gives the lady some money, talks to Jack after she leaves. Marlowe informs Warthwick. Warthwick interviews Mrs. Jones, learns of her troubled domestic situation. She knows nothing about the missing cigarette box. In this way, this is very critical moment to watch. This three scene of the first act is very sensitive because it formulate, we may say that it develops a kind of drama to be written or created. Here we see that this scene is very sentimental. In this scene, the sentimental, or we may say melodramatic pointing of a moral not to drink frequently undercuts the attempt to depict faithfully the problems of individual characters or social group. Such a theory of drama attempts to mutually very contradictory tasks. We can visualize it as it is objective, balanced, and impartial depiction of reality in one hand, and in the other hand, we see the embodiment of the playwright's subjective, ethical, emotional response in the posing or shaping of a moral ethics. In this way, Galsworthy formulates one types of sympathy towards the downtrodden characters of this play. Mrs. Jones is very perfect lady. She is very honest in her dealing as well as in her working. By virtue of this capacity, she is well praised by every person except her husband. In this scene, we see that Jack is very much loved by his parents, whereas he is not such type of a person. His father, even his mother also loves him very much. Jack is not a good natured person from the beginning. It is known to all, but he is praised by his parents very much. This shows the uncritical nature of the scene. His gentlemanly didacticism issues in dramatic sermons attempts that attempts to evoke sympathy and understanding for the human condition. In short, we conclude that this very short scene is powerful. It gives a bitter reality of life. It is a very sharp criticism of the English legal system, which is based on a distinction between the rich and the poor. It is Goldsworthy who is able to create such type of atmosphere for the play. He writes this play in very fantastic way. Here we see that Goldsworthy combines realistic representation with dramatic presentation of different themes. This scene remains historically interesting because it embodies the perfect perceptions of English social and political attitudes in the early 20th century. It also unfolds before us the social system of the English in the early 20th